Welcome back to another video, and you're probably going to be pissed at me for not starting new what ifs, for not posting anything new for the 4-day weekend. It was family weekend, so of course I'll spend time with my family, you know me. So, enough of my chit chat. And, let's get to the actual thing. Well, this what if I'll be starting what if Naruto was Madara son. So I'm technically going to be starting a new what if Naruto's Madara's son. And we're going to be seeing that happening. We're going to be seeing that happening. How? I don't know, because I don't know why I made it a script. And probably should try to get it if I could find it. This pile of stuff. Found it. So let's start this what if. How this is gonna happen? Don't know. How Kuchin is gonna have Naruto's Madara-san? Don't know. But I'm probably gonna do it as one of those what if making Naruto full Uchiha, since Madara could do pretty crazy stuff, and since he has Setsu, I would think he might make Naruto full-blood Uchiha. But how he would become Uchiha, how Madara would have Naruto is completely odd. It's pretty easy. Madara would probably go with Kushina or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how Naruto would be born. Does the Nine Tails attack still happen? I don't know. Yes, it probably will. But I don't know how Kushina would how Madara would get Naruto. That is pretty impossible. But let's just say it is possible. How Naruto is the son of Madara. Well, you see, Madara didn't want to be left alone, and didn't want his legacy to be old. So he wanted to have a child to live on his legacy. He didn't have Obito as his descendant, no. Yeah, I don't even think Obito is his descendant. But I think he'll have a child of some sorts that will be born. But when he's born, as soon as Madara is fighting... Oh yeah, let's just skip to this what if when Madara is fighting Hashirama. As we see a man at his dying moments, as this man has black hair long up to his waist, red armor, Japanese style, samurai style, something like a gown coming over, and he has shinobi bandages on his leg, and shinobi sandals, and black gloves, as a part of his hair is covering his eye, as this man has a sword plunged right through his chest, as he says his dying words. Damn you, Hashirama. Falling down dead. Supposedly falling down dead. As the man we know as Hashirama gets up, as he says, "Goodbye, old friend," as he walks off. Meanwhile, we skip 1 hour later. A beautiful lady, a lady looking to be in her 20s, walks up and sees the dying man on the ground as she picks him up, running straight to her house. As no. Meanwhile, the man's body floats far as he enters an ocean that's very cold, that if you stay there for a long time, you might turn to ice. As the body turns to ice, somehow preserving it, making it not able to die anymore, as Madara's cells just stop, but he's still alive. Madara's still alive, but he doesn't die. I don't know. I don't know how science can explain that. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know rocket science. I don't know. I don't know rocket science. I don't really know. As a few years later, you see a fisherman and his daughter rowing on the boat. The man looks to be in his 60s or so old, as he and his daughter were fishing for some fish for dinner. As the girl has black hair, black eyes, as she has a gown, and then on that gown there's a symbol of a red circle looking like a fire, as there's a white symbol at the bottom, and then there's a stretch tip. As we all know, this is an Uchiha symbol. As the man also has the same symbol on his back of his shirt, with black hair, almost turning white. As then they see something, they then try to catch a fish, as the fish splashes away, hence splashes hurriedly swimming all the way back to the riverbanks, trying not to get caught by the fishing rope. As it splashes down, as the daughter tries to catch it, as she does, then she notices something like a fan or sword type of glow, as she looks into the water to see a ice, as her father says, Rahiki, what are you looking at? As she then puts his head in the water, as she activates her shouting gun, looking pretty. Her eyes turn crimson red, and 3 tomoes appear on each eye, as her pupil stills there. Yes, Naruto's gonna be full of chi. I don't know why. I wrote this. As they look more closer, as the father does, as he activates his shouting gun, as they look closely, they see a tattered cloth of a symbol, the same symbol they have on the back, as their eyes widen, says Uchiha. As they go swimming down, as she does that, she then sees a frozen crystal ball, like how Aang did. Yeah, you know that. That's how Madara still stays there. He put Susanoo. As they see a ginormous creature and a man standing inside of it. As his eyes are closed, as they quickly carve out the man, getting him out of there. As then they bring him onto the boat. As she then starts performing medical ninjutsu and melting the ice in the process, as she's able to get the ice off him, as she then listens to his heartbeat, realizing that he's still alive. I don't know how it's possible, but I think it's possible for a man to be stuck in ice and be stuck in ice for thousands of years without dying in Naruto, because it is an anime, and yeah, you know. A few years as a few weeks later, the man wakes up. He's then shouting, Hashirama, I'm shouting, I need to get back to the village. Hashirama! As he then looks around, realizing that he's somewhere else in a tavern. He then pulls something out of his hand, a kunai, As he then puts his hand, he then looks around as he hears a door opening, as he then grabs the kunai hastily, as the man walks up, as the person enters, as the woman enters, as she then puts his kunai at her neck. Where am I? As she says, uh, uh, I, you're, he's like, where am I? Who are you? And what is happening? As she then says, uh, uh, you, my name is Kozu Uchiha, and you're in the Uchiha clan household, and my husband, and and as as Madara shocked Uchiha. Uchiha, then you should treat me with respect since I am your clan head, or was. As she then says, you're, yes, mother, yes, Lord Madara Uchiha, knowing who he is due to the books. So, you know me. How come? Well, you were in the history books. You were in the history books for fighting Hashirama and was able to keep part when Hashirama killed you in the end of the battle of the end. As she gulps, as she then starts having sweat drops, and she's like, what? Dying? Yes, it happened over 200 years ago. As Madara's eyes widen, 200 years? How? How? What? How did this happen? As she then says, I don't know, but that's how it is. As Madara says, this is not possible. As he walks outside, seeing a ginormous village, lights, and a power pole. As he's astonished at what he sees, as he says, where are we? You're near the Kazaraki village. I mean, you're in the land of seas, near a few boat ride, near the a few a few weeks away from the land of fire, a land of fire in the middle of the elemental nations, near the land of stone, near the land of iron. As he then looks at her, what? As as then as then he then sees a girl running up to him, as she then says, who are you? Bringing a kunai after seeing Madara holding a kunai to her mother's neck. Let go, my mother. As she then says, as the mother then says, Nakaki, it's okay. As Nakaki has her Sharingan activated. Man, wait, why do we keep on calling her Nakaki? Suruki, I'm gonna call her Suruki Uchiha. Suruki has her Sharingan activated, as she then eyes wide and says, you're an Uchiha. Impressive. As she then rushes at him, as he then says, well, I guess I haven't had a fight in a while. As he then activates his Sharingan, as she stops and says, you're an Uchiha too? As she then nods and says, my name is Madara Uchiha. No, as she then stops and says, no way. Madara Uchiha died 200 years ago. Yes, I cannot believe it, but somehow I must be frozen in that lake. Pointing to an ice-cold lake. Pointing a few miles away to an ice-cold lake. As there's snow sparkling all around. As Madara starts freezing, he says, what is this weird cold? What is... As he starts freezing, he says, well, it's pretty cold out here. As he walks back inside, as then Suruki's mom, Surabu, helps her daughter bring the fish and the vegetables she came hunting for, and also a pig. As she then says, well, at least we're gonna have dinner. As Madara says, bows and says, Thank you for helping me get out of that river." He says in a slight blushing tone, noticing the woman's feminine. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I didn't want to say that. It was feminine. As he then, as her, as she says, "No need to respect." As he then says, "I need to repay you. I put a burden on you and your family for helping me." As she then says, "Well, you don't need to worry about that." Apparently, hastily saying that, waving her fingers, waving her hands, very far, blushing as well. As her father stops reading the paper and says, "Well, it seems like," as her father, Koji, Koshiki, or Koshiki, I don't know, I can find a name, Koshibu, says, "It seems like somebody has an interest in someone." As she then hastily raises her hands, is like, I'm not falling in love." And he says, No, I don't mean it that way. Unless you wanted to have her hand in marriage, but I don't mean it that way. As he hastily raises his hand, sighing, as he then says, "I guess it's because you need to put a shirt on." Realizing that he has no shirt, he hastily grabs through his stuff and says, "Hey, where's my shirt?" As she then says, "Well, there was a shirt, but we had to rip it off to heal you." As he then yells, "Why? That was the shirt my grandma made me." That was the shirt my grandma made me. As he then yells, "That was the shirt my mother knitted. My mother made me for my birthday, for my 20th, for my 25th, for my 21st or 23rd birthday." Sobbing a little, looking down. Yeah, I'm just gonna say Madara was 25 now. My 26th birthday is looking down in shame. No, 22. As he then looks down and says, "Why did you have to rip it?" Sobbing, and also that the other shirt that I had was also belonged to my brother before he died. Yeah, I just put it on to remember him. "So where did you keep the armor?" As she then says, "We also had to ditch that and burn it. We also used that for the fire." As he then hastily rushes to the fire and says, "That was my dad's armor." As he has the biggest nerves pop out of his head, as he then says, "You destroyed it." As then Sorobu says, "I told you shouldn't do that." He's like, "Why?" "Because anything that anything that a man has to remember his parents always cherishes. If you destroy that, they will be angry at you and want to kill you." As he then says, "No, even even the first weapon I ever forged as a kid, where is that?" As she then points to a fan, as he then goes up to it, hugging it very tightly, keeping it close. As he as he doesn't want to let go, as he says, "At least I didn't lose my favorite weapon." As she then says, "Wait, why was that important to you?" "Well, because I fought many battles with this thing, and it's the only thing that keeps me remembering of my family, since it was a sort of like a gift. After my brother gives me a bunch of medals, after my father finally allows me to make my own weapon. Back in that day, it was custom for back in that day when the Senju and Uchiha were at war. It was custom for an Uchiha who was a soldier soon to be, to make for custom for them to make their own weapon at 20 years old. So that's why I cherish this so much, because this is the weapon you use to slay all your enemies in your path." As they nod in confusion, as he then says, "Yes, I know." And also, that fan reminds me of how I used. That fan was also given to me when I became the clan head of the Uchiha as a gift from my father before he died 2 months later. As Thus, Shaz Suzuki says, "I'm sorry for your loss." As he then says, "That's fine." But what the flip am I doing here? Looking hastily at everywhere. As he then says, "Well, I guess it's time for me to head out. I have to go back to the village, I guess, since Ashilama won that duel." As she then says, "Village? What village?" "The Hidden Leaf." As he then starts wearing a substitute armor that he puts in a seal and some clothes, as she then says, "Well, you could do that somewhere else, and for the leaf, you can't go." "Why?" Because you can't go. If they find out that you were with my father, uh, Sujo, yeah, I'm just gonna call him Sujo. I don't know what to call him. Surugo or Sujo? Yeah, I'm just gonna call her father Suruko. Not okay. What's his name? Fujo. Yeah, Fujo and and his wife Katen Kate. They're gonna interrogate you, imprison you, and also torture you. Why? I don't know, because my parents were banished for unknown reasons. Yes, during the Third Great Ninja War, we disobeyed orders and we left. Since we didn't return back, they labeled us as rogue, but we then came back to the village in solitude and told them the whole story. But they still wanted us back, but we told them we wanted a life outside the village. So they still try to get us to do some work for them, like spying on the nearby Cloud Village, the nearby Cloud and Stone Village. But we declined, so they pushed us to where they would threaten to kill our child. That was by They put us to do that, so we have to do that. And secondly, if they find out you were with us, they'll think you're a spy and they will kill you on spot. Why? Because if they find out, and you might turn out to be a spy, or you might try to get on the least good side, they will try to interrogate you, and no matter what, they'll still think you're still ninja, trying to impersonate an Uchiha. Get the information in, and then they'll kill you. They'll kill you no matter what. It's not even Hokage's orders. It's what happens. Because you're not allowed to send it by transport. As he then says, "Okay." And also, Madara Uchiha is also known as the bad guy the whole entire story, so they will still think you're a person trying to impersonate one of the Leaf's founders, and they'll kill you anyway. Doesn't matter what you say. As he then says, "Well, I guess I would have to stay here, right?" As we skip 2 years later, as we see two figures sitting on a porch. A man with long hair almost at his feet, but at his shin. A woman leaning on his shoulder, black hair, blue black eyes, and a Uchiha symbol on her back of the kimono. So yeah, sorry about that. That was my mom. So, with a kimono with the Uchiha symbol on it. Long kimono, central ankles. As then there's two boys. One an older boy who looks to be around 16, playing around with a younger boy who looks to be about 4 years old, around 4 years old, as he's also yelling at his seemingly older brother.